Hello, I'm Blair, and I'll be playing Foundations. It's a medieval building game, and I've played it for maybe about 3 or 4 months now. I really enjoy it. So let's jump into it. You can find it on Steam. So I have a map on the new game. There's a number of maps that are pre-generated. These are static maps, but many people I think enjoy the dynamic map building process. You can randomize it. There's three different options. Coastal, which provides a coastline. This one looks pretty intense with no beaches and very steep cliffs. And you can customize all those sliders. There's Fluvial, which is a river map. And so that provides a good way for building bridges across and little islands, settlements you can make for private keeps, monasteries. That's pretty fun way. And then I haven't played this one so much, but it's hills. If you really like building on high terrain, maybe long arcing bridges between two peaks, that might be interesting. There's really not too much water. I guess if you bump lake all the way up, you could make a couple of waterways. But obtaining fish on one of these maps might be a little challenging, which is one of the food sources. So I'll play a fluvial map, and when you select these sliders, the code down here changes, so you can actually share maps between your friends. So that's pretty neat. But I actually have a map code that I wanted to play again, so we'll go ahead and load this one up here. And there's a number of mods you can get for the game, but I'm not going to use any of them right now. I just want to showcase playing the game, and we're going to go for some of the more challenging achievements. So we'll go ahead and get started with this map with no mods. Okay, when you begin, it prompts you if you would like the tutorial. So that gives you a list of advice, so to say, and it's a guided quest. It gates your ability to select buildings. I'm going to go without it for now, because that's mostly for new players, or if you just want to have a more structured starting area. So you can move the camera around by just the WASD, and then the pitch is controlled R and F, and then you can rotate with E and Q here. So it's similar to many navigations in a 3D space. And what we're tasked with now is finding a good starting location for our settlement. So not all of the land here is selectable. If you'll notice here, it has to have these berry sources and the stone sources to be considered a starting spot, so to say. And some of these are just plain woodlands or open pastures, but they don't have any of the resources that would need the basic building blocks needed for your starting village. So I won't go into every single detail, but I do want to build up here eventually, but I try to think of the high precipices as sort of like the final end goal for a city. So you can see here, it would be really cool to put some sort of tall structure up here on this cliffside that has basically an overlook across the entire land. So that's pretty neat. I also like the features on this map. It has snaky islands, land masses with a snaky river and multiple bays running throughout. So we'll go ahead and start over here, I believe. Let's see. This is the place I like to start at. So this has a nice little riverfront section here. We have access to this island over here, and then we can build bridges here. We could build another narrow bridge that goes over to this land to create sort of a twin city type of situation here. And then we also have access to all of that open land behind here, where we can expand out to increase the size and complexity of our settlement. So we're going to select that, and down at the bottom is our action bar, and up here is the title bar, where we can see various statistics about our settlement. Here is the visibility Shows you the various visibilities since we haven't done anything. This is where we can purchase territories, or I guess if you don't want the territory anymore, you can also unpurchase it or remove it. It does come with a cost. Right now we're tasked with doing just one thing, and that's placing our village center. So I do like this area right around here. You can see there's a nice path coming through these trees here. So that creates sort of a natural roadway. Villagers prefer to take paths around trees if possible, but they will try to find relatively the shortest distance between 2 points, but not always. They also tend to gravitate to making paths around the contours of the land, so they prefer not to walk uphill, straight up a hill, but sideways. So that looks like a good spot. I don't need it too close to the river. I'm going to have development over there. I'll probably put my military fort here later on, and then we'll have all the infrastructure just throughout. So I'll build the village center here, and we can see our villagers here. They're all just waiting around for me, so I'll just pause the game so I can start planning out the placement of my buildings. When new items appear at the bottom, you'll see that there's a little icon here, and this is our aspirations. Aspirations are sort of like guided achievements you can undertake for your village. So what I'll be doing in this playthrough is actually performing all of the hard aspirations, but in order to do that, you'll notice that you can have never generate revenue from trade routes. So I can never receive positive money. I can buy things for a negative value in trade, but I can never sell things for a positive value in trade. Basically an import-only city until I achieve the first thing, which is 100 citizens, which is a third tier of villager. The next achievement down here is succeed at the King's Pledge mission, which is somewhat tricky to find, and it also takes a very long time to complete once you do send roughly 20 soldiers on their way, and then you have to sell 100 swords, which that's not too hard. You'll have way more swords than that just from completing all the military quests. And the third hard achievement is dedicated to clergy, so you have to build a monastery abbatial church, but never promote a villager up to the next status. What they mean by that is you cannot promote anyone for this achievement before you complete the clergy achievement. You can promote soldiers and clergy members to higher ranks, but you cannot. The clergy achievement on the hard setting makes it so you cannot promote villagers to citizens or commoners for the labor path. And then the famous build a hard. That's somewhat tricky, but not really. You just have to have a good balance of estate buildings that provide the necessary prosperity and splendor. So we'll go ahead and dig into building out the city. Anytime there's a new item, you'll see that yellow icon, so I just hover over all of those to dismiss them. And so I'll just do that here. It wants me to buy my second territory, and I might as well do that now. There's some nice berries. It's basically another starting zone, and that's why I sort of like this starting spot. I tend to pick starting spots where there's two of them adjacent to each other. That way I basically have double the berries to begin my settlement, and that just increases the food source there. So now let's look at the build menu. There's the all category, and then it's broken down into subcategories based off of the type of building or the function it has. So we have logistics, resources, food, service, which is like faith or church, and then administration. And there's a lot more structures we can unlock. But the building blocks, so to say, are produced by the builder here. So we'll go ahead and place this here. When you click on it from the build tool, you'll see a little shadow of the item, and you can position that the same way, left and right. It's basically bound to your mouse, and then you can rotate it by holding down Control, and then moving your mouse back and forth. And we can zoom in and take a look at it. You can see those white points are basically attachment points, so you can attach buildings together. And the little green arrow you see there, that's like the entry point, so that's where the villagers will path to enter the building, so to say. And many buildings have multiple entry points. Villagers, when they walk along paths, when they walk to a building to enter it, if the path doesn't exist, they'll create one. And so it's important when you place a building in, so to say, virgin territory, that you place the arrows in such a way that how you want your roads to be constructed. So in this city building game, you don't have to concern yourself with placing the layout of the roads and worry about the highway infrastructure. You just have to worry about building the infrastructure, and the villagers will build the roads for you. That's good and bad. So you have to have some control over them. I'll put it here so it roughly creates a straight road coming from the village center. The builder's hut needs to be somewhat centralized in your village, because as you ask them to produce various buildings, they'll go out and build them for you. And so you can see here it costs 5 wood. I have a number of starting resources to help me along. So build that, and no one actually has to build the builder's hut, ironically, because there's no builder assigned. So that's sort of like the chicken and the egg, which came first. The builder's hut did. So we'll assign 3 people, 3 villagers there, and then they'll go ahead and walk over there when they go to work. So I'll pause the game again, and let's build basically the basic structures we'll need. Forester's Camp, we won't need that as we have plenty of woodland here to chop down, but when you start deforestation the land, you want to use these around your industrial areas where you need a sustained source of wood. So here's the stone here, and there's also lots of trees here, so this is a really good place for setting up an industrial zone to create lots of structures. So you notice the red ring around this lumber camp that I'm placing here. That red ring means that it's going to create an undesirable land there. So I don't think I want it too close to the stone. I want to back it off a ways. Probably over here. I do want to chop down all these trees over here. Lumber camps, you do have a maximum range of like how much lumber they can or how far the workers will go to produce the lumber. I don't know precisely what the radius is, but after a certain point they'll quit walking out. So if I build this here, when I purchase this land, this lumber camp won't be able to chop down the trees over there. Or if they can, it's going to take a very long time for them to make that walk, chop down a tree, drag it all the way back here, and then they have to go and get their food, go sleep, and everything like that. Whereas if they're chopping close to here, they can chop down like 10 more trees than the one they chop over there. So this costs 2 tools, and it's not built right away like the lumber, like the builder's hut. I'm going to place a few buildings and then we'll unpause to get going. Sawmill, I can't build it yet because that requires stone. So a stone cutter's camp is next. I could build it right next to the stone for maximum efficiency, but sometimes for stone especially, while it is an important resource, especially if you're building lots of churches, you don't need so much of it so rapidly like wood. Wood is much more needed. Stone is more of a luxury or hardened, I guess, resource used for more complex structures. So I'll place it right to sort of create an industrial area or with low desirability for houses. I'll place the lumber camp and the stone cutter's camp right next to each other. And then the next thing we need after our basic resources is a source of food. Everyone needs water, of course, but that requires stone, so we'll have to wait until we have acquired some. And then we'll need a berry hut. And so we can see here, when you select the berry hut, it will show where the berries are, so to say. So I could build 2 berry huts that will allow us to gather the berries here. So I'll place it roughly about here. Okay, so now I'll pause and I'll watch the villagers hopefully start to work. I think. There they go. So you can increase the speed or decrease the speed, 1, 2, 3 settings, and then I'll of course pause. So we'll go ahead and wait for those orders to be carried out. And so now we have our first path. And then once our production buildings are completed, they're bringing the supplies now to the sites and they are building them. Alright, we got the lumber camp built. We'll need lots of wood. Assigning the workers to the site, they don't just automatically start chopping down wood. Instead, you need to set up zones. So there's a zone for houses. So let's go ahead and set up the zone for house now. Paused for now. The house zone, I'm going to build some plazas and basic city amenities around the village center. But I do want them to be living close to where they work. Because that way they don't have to walk too far. And you can see the effect of this industrial area here. The undesirability shows up as red. Wires desirable shows up as green. So we'll place a row of houses, so to say, here. And I'm going to cut them off there. You can increase the size or decrease the size of the zone area with the scroll wheel and control. So if I right click here, this will make it, that's like the exclusion zone. And then I can lower it down to the normal. This is roughly the size of a house. So there we go. And that should do for now. That should be enough places to set up shop for now for them. But I do need to set up an area for extraction. And the extraction tells them to pull the resource from the landscape. So we'll go ahead and we're going to work towards the village center and chopping the wood. So we want to chop all of this first. So you can prioritize where your land is cleared that way. And we might as well set up extraction zones for the stone and the berries, which are more static nodes. They never deteriorate or they're never exhausted. They're consistently there. So, which is, the game is in early access. There are some mods, I think, that make those resources actually finite instead of infinite. So we'll go ahead and wait for the rest of the structures to be built out. We can see the lumber camps are ready to go chopping the trees. And then we have some newcomers. So newcomers, you can see that they come to your village center and they wait for you to click on their plus icon. So that's how you get new people. There's no children or families. Yeah, and you can see once I place that residential zone, people they want to have a place to live. So this person thinks this is their home. I guess they're looking at the grass, wondering why the builder doesn't come to build it, or they're just relaxing and enjoying their new home site. And then we have the stonecutters camp is complete. So we'll go ahead and assign some stonecutters. I'll assign 3 for now. That should do. I'll speed up the game again. I think we'll just have one more construction here. Ongoing constructions, you can toggle through them here. And so the berry farm is nearly complete. Not berry farm, gathering hunt. And we'll just assign one person there for now. I have already 10 berries, I guess. That's enough. But we'll get more. You can right click on these resources, and I prefer to do this for most of them. It does clutter up the map, but you can see how goods are flowing between the various points. So you can, that's the best way to sort of track down problems, so to say, with how things are going. Okay, and so our village is coming to a start. So all the villagers, they have needs, and so if you click on here, you can see that none of their needs are met. They're not very happy right now. So let's work on increasing that. First, we need a place to get water. So let's go ahead and place the well. The well does create a desirable location. So knowing that I built a row of houses here, let's put the well behind that row, and that'll create this desirable riverfront location to build houses around. And you can see the arrows here, there are multiple, so sort of a mini town center. I tend to build out a neighborhood and make the well the focal point. Usually maybe put some parks in or around it. People love benches in this game. It's very relaxing to sit down and not have to walk everywhere. In the medieval days, that's what they did. So that's one of the needs. Next is food. So we're going to need first a place to store the food. So we'll need the granary. I don't want to crowd out this area here because there's lots of work sites I want here. Instead, I'm going to create like I said earlier on, we want a path going over here. So I'm going to put the granary right here. So I'll pause real quick to place it so I don't get interrupted. And that should do. Here you can see there's multiple arrows on this, on all three corners. So the corner of the cart is the only one that doesn't have an arrow. So you're going to have at least 2 or 3 roads coming from this, and that's okay because it's a sort of a granary. It's supposed to be a focal point for the population to store their food. I'm sort of putting it out here in the woodlands, but that's because this serves as a granary for both these berries and these berries. I'll probably build another granary over here. In fact, I think, yes, I'll actually put this granary just next to these berries, and we'll actually start our market over here for this. So the granary, since it doesn't produce any undesirability, you see here you already have 2 roads formed here by these 2 work sites. So we can take advantage of these roads and place the granary here, sort of to just fill in the gap. And so that way we won't have any new roads built. It's already building off the existing infrastructure. That's really a happy location for it. It sort of crowds the lumber camp, but that's okay. I don't think there'll be any pathing issues. No, it should be fine. And then after the granary is built, we need a place for the villagers to buy the food. So let's see, where should I put my market? Probably here, along this main path. That makes the most sense. Like, there's nothing over here for them to go to, really. You can see they're just gathered here, but I think these are the unemployed villagers. You can see who's unemployed on the citizens menu. So you can see there's a number of unemployed workers there. And we'll get them a job too, don't worry. So I'll put the market, that's undesirable. Yeah, right about here is good. And so this is a monument. So a monument, as in actual, most buildings we've placed before, you select it and it comes up with just the item that you're placing down. In this case, this market can have multiple features, or you can select many different ways to build it. So I think I'm going to do the market actually perpendicular to the road. I'll space it back a little bit because I will probably put a wall or a small cart right in front of it. So right about here, I think is where I want my first stall. Yeah, maybe a little closer to the center. Right there. And then we'll put a tent over top of it. This will the tent is actually pretty useful for the stall. Normally it can only hold 10 food items, but if you put a 10 over it, it increases it to 5. You see it comes with an upfront cost of 5 gold coins. I assume that's what the currency is, and it has cloth, and I only have 10 cloth, so I can only ever build 2 of these at the start. So we'll go ahead and build that there. So now that meets 2 of their needs, housing, comfort and housing. So we do have a place for housing, and those are underway. And we're just waiting for the builders to do their work. You can see there's little icons over them. over their heads, saying if what they're carrying, why are they carrying a resource. So that lady there is carrying stone to the well. Okay. And now she's carrying to the stalls, the market stall. And I think I can already assign someone to here. Yes, I can. Once the stall is built, you don't have to wait for the entire structure to be complete. When part of the structure exists where someone can go inside of it, then you can assign people to it. There's nothing to use this. I can't use the stall until the granary is built though, so I'm still waiting for this to be completed. You can prioritize it if you want, but it's a work in progress, so just need to wait. So right now they're prioritizing the market for whatever reason. That's fine. I don't need to micromanage them. That's mean. No one likes a micromanaging boss or whatever entity I serve as. Ruler? Yes, I think I'm titled as the ruler. I haven't picked a name yet. It's an optional item you can fill in. Housing insufficient, so you get a warning here that there's not enough places for housing. So maybe we need to increase that. We'll leave a little space around the well so we can put some benches and a small park plaza. So that should be a good enough amount of housing here. Make an exclusion zone around here a little bit. That should do. Hopefully that house won't be torn down because part of it got excluded, but we'll see. When houses have multiple tiers and densities, so right now these are the most basic houses, tier 1 and density 1. Eventually, once more villagers move in, the density of these houses will increase. Then you can see a whole bunch of houses going up, and houses actually, they're not free. It does cost some resources to build them. So we can see here that these houses cost 10 wood, and later on they're more expensive, but not terribly much so. There are mods that make it more challenging for this game, or I guess it also makes it easier, depending on how you want to play the game. More relaxed or more of a challenge. But right now, this purpose of this playthrough is just for the hard achievements, or aspirations, so we'll be progressing through the story here then. Okay, granary's almost up, and then once that's set up, then we can actually start selling food. You don't earn any money from the market, not directly. It actually costs you money to maintain a market, but later on you can get a quest where you can tax the markets, so that's helpful. I might as well just assign another person the berries. I have 3 constructions, and then I have 1 unemployed citizen. That last one I need for transporting of berries to the market. Actually, transporting of berries from the berry hut, gathering hut. Yes, very confusing. I don't. Tend to think that a market tender is sort of a obsolete or not necessary job position. I would think a transporter could serve the same purpose, but for whatever reason, there's a dedicated person who just sits here, I guess, to make sure no one steals anything, collects the money. I think a transporter could serve the same purpose. Okay, so now we actually have all but one thing needed for our villagers to thrive. So we can see our approval rating right now is up to 38%, and that'll increase as more of them arrive at the market to purchase their berries. We do need to assign the resource. We have to do that. And you can rename anyone or anything in the game if you want. I'm not so big on 2 names, I guess. But now we can see we have a good starting selection here for our village. So we'll go ahead and pause for now, and I hope to see you on the next episode. Thank you. Bye.